Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Three Men of Football. All right, lads?
Thomas, Simon, how are we?
All good?
Got it right this week. Afternoon, boys.
Yeah, it's Simon. I noticed anything different about backgrounds.
Well, Daz, you may have noticed something different because this is a very special episode.
Oh, right. Is this? Oh, Villa. Yeah.
No, it's a championship episode, Daz. So you might have to wait a while.
No, championship. That will be all right there.
Yeah. it's a Premier League winning episode. So we figured we'd spend a bit of time talking about the Reds, talking about our amazing team, how they've done this year, and just rub your nose in it a little bit, Daz.
And the fact that we don't really talk a lot about Liverpool, we decided to do a whole show about them.
To just let you know, if we stay up, I'm having a committee meeting on my own. Cold, Si?
Get ready.
You cold? If I suddenly walk off this podcast...
How's that for you, Daz?
Yeah, mate, it looks great, that, yeah. I'm delighted.
Just wrap it around my head.
Yeah, I could wrap it around your neck and pull it.
I'll leave that one there for you, Daz, because I know you like it.
Thanks, lads. Just anyone's not watching the video, Simon's got a scarf on, a red one. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It says, Liverpool FC, you'll never walk alone. Actually, it was bought by Thomas for my my two lads.
Oh, that was nice, Thomas. You not like them?
yeah. So it's been an interesting year, and although we haven't been great since we got confirmed as champions, what a year it's been for the Redmen. I know that Thomas has been excited all year and has been looking forward to this episode for some time now. How are you feeling, Tom?
I'm absolutely delighted. I'm literally, the anticipation for Wednesday is killing me. And since a mate of mine who works at Melwood and at Anfield sent me pictures the way they pull the seats out the Kop to build the stage, I think they're planning, loads of fun and games on Wednesday after the Chelsea game. Hopefully we get a good result, but to be honest, I don't care. I just want to see Jordan Henderson lift that trophy and end that 30 years of hate and get the championship rightly where it belongs, back with the Redmen.
Isn't there a song there? 30 years of hate.
Yeah, somewhere, yeah. Coming home, Daz.
It is coming home, yeah.
It's literally coming home.
Thomas, isn't Dalglish presenting him?
I've heard the rumour. The rumour that he is. I'm just really hoping that he doesn't come out with his shin pads.
Who, Henderson or Dalglish?
Kenny's got his kit bag there, ready to play.
So what Thomas is referring to is the famous John Terry coming out when they lifted the trophy. And he hadn't played, and he come out and he had shin pads on, full kit. Woo! It went on your wall of hate, didn't it, Thomas?
It did, yeah. It was part of my wall of hate. Full kit. Wanker.
Yeah. All right. So what we did was we've been looking at some of the big moments for the year, and we've asked the team on Facebook to give us some feedback to see what their greatest moments are. Tom, do you want to kick us off with one of yours?
Well, to be honest, I thought I'd start off by talking about why I think we actually won the league. And I've got to go back to last season. Winning the Champions League was, absolutely amazing. And Darren, I know you're not a Liverpool fan, but you come and watched it with me, and you've seen the joy and everything that happened with regards to the game. It was a poor game, the joy and what it really meant to me as a fan. But it wasn't that I don't think inspired us to become champions. I think getting 97 points and not winning it last year was the catalyst. It burnt the fire in the brains and everybody at Liverpool to say we're going to win it this year. And I think that's exactly what happened.
Sorry. Burn the fires in the brain.
Yeah,
Simon, are you having that?
It's a new one. Yeah,
is it?
He's going to use it next year at footy. So
Get used to that. Yeah,
he's read that somewhere.
Ready. Yeah.
He may have meant in their stomachs, Daz.
I think so, but I think he went brains.
Fired in their stomach.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, no, in the brain.
So what you're saying is that actually last year and the disappointment from last year, because we had such an amazing year, set us up well for this year.
It did, yeah. I think the desire, because I don't actually think we played as well as we did last year, this year. I think we've got there with desire and hard work and a determination not to get beat. There's a lot of games this season, when I went over all the games, there was too many to pull out to say, that result was a pivotal in us going on to win the league this year. I think just the absolute desire and will not to get beat this year totally overtook everything, and that's why we're so good. And I think that's why we've dipped so badly after we've come back, because we knew it was in the bag. Because
they've gone so hard early on, and then that fire, as you say, in their brains has gone out.
Okay, maybe it wasn't the stomach.
A lot of fires tonight, Simon. A lot of fires.
Yeah, it was. They've been amazing. I mean, some of the football that we played this year is just ridiculous at times. And I think the thing that made a big difference for us this year was we wouldn't let games go. So at times at games where last year we may have dropped a couple of points, we've carried on going right till the end and scored late goals as well. And there's been so many of them throughout this year. And if you look at all the great sides, they have that type of year. So if you look at the Arsenal Invincibles, if you look at the United side from '99, you look at the Centurions, all of them have had really good years in terms of how late they're winning games.
Yeah, I agree.
And I know you scored 2 late ones against Villa, which we played quite well that game. But I just look at Liverpool and straight from the start, one thing that always impressed me about them, apart from obviously since we've come back, is the tempo they play the game. And I think that first 20 minutes, 25 minutes is crucial to Liverpool. And quite often they'll get a goal or two early in the game, and then they just dominate games. And I think that's been a massive plus for them. I think when you talk about spines in football teams, I think Liverpool have got one of the better ones. Obviously, they went out and got a really good goalkeeper. They went out and got Van Dijk, who was the final jigsaw, I feel. And you look at the midfield, you wouldn't say they were creative, but they were industrials, and they'll work hard and they'll give opportunities to other players to do the creative bit. Like you've got Trent down one side, you've got Robertson down the other, and then you've got the three up front who are so busy. And Firmino doesn't get a lot of credit here. He might not score the goals, but actually what he does, he drags players around and opens up opportunities for other players. And I think Liverpool have done that great this year. Listen, since we've come back, we've won the league. The rest of the games don't really matter. But what matters is how they're going to go in now to the next season. I think it's an interesting one for Liverpool about who they buy, who they let go. I think this was a massive year for Klopp. Although we won the Champions League last year, you almost thought last year was the closest they were going to get, because 97 points would have won any other year, I think, or something
exactly.
like that.
Well, let's have a look at how Liverpool stack up against in terms of personnel against some of those great teams. So if you look, I think the teams that you would compare them to are the Invincibles. So the Arsenal team of, I think it was about 2004, was it? And then you've got the Centurions from a couple of years ago for City. And then you've got the 99 United team. And if you look at them, so you go through let's start with the Invincibles, which, you know, to be fair, in our lifetime, what a team that was. They were amazing. Lehmann in goal, Cole left back, Campbell and Torre centre half, bizarrely Torre centre half, Lauren right back, Lundberg right side of midfield, Vieira, Gilberto Silva in the middle, Perez on the left, and Bergkamp and Henry up front. So quality right throughout the side. There are definitely some people in there that you maybe would have found alternatives in the league that were better. So Torre was good. Probably wasn't one of the best centre halves at that stage, was he? Or do we think he was?
No, I would agree. I don't think he was, but I think as well. You mentioned the right back was at Lauren.
Lauren, yeah.
I just think sometimes things just click.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you just think that Arsenal side. You'd even argue the goalkeeper. He was a good goalkeeper. You wouldn't say he was world class.
Made a lot of mistakes, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think, but you look at their spine again, and their midfield was superb. The midfield had great balance.
Campbell, Torre, Silva, Vieira, Henry, Bergkamp, and I actually think if you look back, Petit was probably a better partner for Vieira at Arsenal, but Gilberto Silva did all the doggy work for Vieira, who then got to go and play.
Yeah.
Totally agree. And it's probably the same when you look at people looking outside at Liverpool, probably look at some of our players, like Henderson, Wijnaldum, our midfield, and say, do you know what? How are they going unbeaten for so long? And how are they dominating the league and so far ahead when, you know, we've got a better midfielder than him? Or, you know, you could pick and pull players out. And I think, like you just said there, if it clicks, there's nothing really you can do about it, is there?
Well,
You just go on and run.
That's the thing that is pretty consistent in all of these teams, is that our players that you look at them and think there's better players. So the United team from '99, which remember they did the treble in '99 as well.
Yeah.
So you had Schmeichel in goal, obviously at that stage was the
yeah.
best keeper in the league. Erwin left back, Johnson centre half with Stam, Gary Neville right back, Beckham right side of midfield, Keane, Scholes and Giggs, and then York and Cole up front.
So I don't think there's a better midfield across than that.
I mean, that's amazing.
I think where they do have where they United side, where Dennis Irwin was just a consistent, really underrated player. He was really good at what he did. I think similar to Liverpool, I think they had Yat Stamp there, who was like the rock and brilliant, bit like Van Dijk in terms of he's the one. Then his partners could have been anybody because they made them look good. And I think Johnson was that, no disrespect to him, but he wasn't the best player in the world.
He just did the work, didn't he?
He did what he had to do. He was a defender and he did what he had to do.
Well, here's the City Centurions. Ederson in goal, Danilo left back, Company and Otamendi centre half, Walker right back, Fernandinho, David Silva and De Bruyne in the centre of midfield. De Bruyne playing a bit more right. And then Sane, Aguero and Sterling up top. To be fair, so the three teams that we've talked about so far, they are a cut above the rest in terms of ability. Football has changed since '99 when United won it, but and even since the Invincibles, it's very different now. But that team, athleticism was unbelievable. I mean, look at they're all top players still now.
And I think what how football's changed is going back from the '99 right the way through to now. Systems have become more fluent on the pitch, on the field. Definitely. Where back then it was 4-4-2, that was it. Where now with Pep's brought in this sort of fluency where you play 2-3 at the back, then it goes to like 2 or 3 of midfield, and you got wide players, your fullbacks. But years ago, that wouldn't happen.
Well, it is funny that you look at those two older teams, the United team and the Arsenal team. Yeah. And they're both just flat 4-4-2s. Yeah. And they played flat 4-4-2s as well. It wasn't like they were staggered in the midfield. They played flat 4-4-2s. Yeah. And then you look at Centurions, very different. And obviously we go to the Liverpool team of this year. And again, there's some chat about who should play where here, but you've got Alisson, Robertson, Van Dijk, Gomez and Trent. Wijnaldum, Fabinho and Henderson, but you've got choices there as well. But, I think the consensus is that's probably our strongest midfield. And then Mane, Firmino and Salah up top. What about that midfield, Tom? Is that the midfield you'd pick?
Definitely. I mean, people are crying out for more goals from midfield, but we don't need the goals in midfield. We only need the goals when we're really struggling in a tight game where you want your centre-half to come up and score or a midfielder to pop up with a goal. Our front three are scoring enough goals, creating chances, and our full-backs are providing the width and the crosses and the chances for our forwards to get onto. The reason why we're so good, and we've been so good all year, is our midfield have bossed the other teams. They've outrun them. They've outbullied them, they've outmuscled them, and they're not the biggest lads. They just work a lot harder. They cover a lot more ground. And these submit teams at first 20 minutes, like you said before, Darren, we're like a pack of wolves. We just go for the ball. We chase it down. We make them create a mistake. As soon as they make a mistake, we latch onto it, and we tend to score. We put them under pressure. The heads go a little bit. As soon as we kick off again, we're at them again. And by the time they've settled into the game, a lot of the times, we're 2-0 up after 20 minutes. And you made a great point the other day, Darren. I don't like to say this, but
that's 2 this week, Thomas.
The teams that have done well against us and weathered that first 20 minutes by not trying to play football, going direct into the channels and getting their forward to try and press us back a little bit, and for their team to get out. And then after 25 minutes, 30 minutes, they then can start playing off in the back because they've weathered that initial 20-minute storm. And they do seem to have a bit more success. I mean, luckily this year, we've ground out a lot of hard-fought results. And that's just down to the tenacity and the work rate and the never say never attitude of the players. But that's why I always go back to that midfield. They just outwork everyone.
But I think we were talking about it. That conversation was about Brighton and how they'd come out and been wide open. And then we were comparing them to Sheffield United and saying Sheffield United do it the right way because, and Daz was talking about it, they put people under pressure further up the park early. And if they get under pressure at the back, they just get rid. And then they settle into the game. And that's one of the things that Liverpool's done well, is not let people settle into the game. But if you can get through those first 20 minutes, we do get frustrated as well.
Because I think the system that Liverpool have employed this year, Klopp's system, is you need those three midfield players to be workhorses rather than creative players, because where your creativeness comes from is your two fullbacks and your three up front. So the system that Klopp's got suits those three players in the midfield, because when the fullbacks are both pushing high, one of your midfield players drops in, and you've got that three at the back in many ways, or little triangles are getting played, where if you nullify one of Liverpool's fullbacks, or both fullbacks if you can, then the system has its flaws. But people are scared to do that because Liverpool are so good going forward with the other three. And it's that buy-off you've got to look at all the time. Am I good enough? Is this team good enough to push the fullbacks, both fullbacks back? Because if it's not, you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, because you're getting caught up the field then, aren't you? Because the great thing about them too is they feel, or in the games when we play really well, it's almost like they're playing as wingers.
Yeah.
Because Van Dijk and Gomez will hold the back line, and you've got confidence in them doing well against any forwards. And they're quite comfortable going one-on-one with the forwards as well.
Yeah.
Whereas most teams won't do that. They'll constantly drag other players in just to give them a bit of safety.
Well, it just shows you in the stats, sorry, Thomas, that Trent has got 12 assists for Liverpool. He's your right back.
Yeah.
So actually, your creative midfield players that you haven't got, if you like, don't have to be creative, because you're relying on your both fullbacks. And that's where I think Liverpool are strong. Sorry, Thomas.
We when we started the season, me and you watched a couple of games together, Daz.
Yeah.
And what you picked up on quite early, and which I noticed from last season to this season, is we've actually pushed up maybe another 5 or 10 yards up the pitch, further up the pitch. And we talked about it the other night. Even though it wasn't a great performance and we had a heavy defeat, there was a lot of times where we had every single player against Man City in their half. Every player. Now, we're playing arguably, one of the best teams in world football right now. And on the night, they certainly give us a lesson in how to finish. But we had every player in their half. That takes a lot of courage. It's a lot of belief in the system. And it's a lot of belief that you're not going to give the ball away in stupid areas.
But what that comes from is confidence. Because when you're playing well, everyone wants to get on the ball. And it's a simple thing of football. If you, like Man City play a very, very high line. They got caught out against Arsenal massively. And that's the danger. When you're overconfident, you want to try and push and push and push. It takes that one clever pass. I think it was Tierney, the left back from Arsenal, played a lovely ball over the top. And I can't remember the forward's name. Aubameyang. He outpaced the back four, and he was in and scored a goal. So the danger is, if you're pushing too high all the time, that one pass can outdo you. But unfortunately, because the way Liverpool play, the one pass isn't happening because they're closing them down quite quickly. So they haven't got an outlet. And if they have, they're just hoofing it. It's not a pass.
Yeah, you're not getting a clean pass off. Yeah. So but if you think about the way it was maybe 10, 15 years ago, then generally what you found was teams were splitting the pitch up into thirds. And every team did it in a slightly different way. But the majority of teams pressed in the middle third. They didn't press in the top third. That's all. It didn't happen. Because the problem is if you press in the top third, then you stretch the game out and you create gaps. That's not always a good thing. It's good if you can exploit them. But if you can't and the opposition can, then you're screwed. But what seems to have happened now is Liverpool spend all of their time in the opposition half. So they push right up to the halfway line. We used to have this stats when we were growing up, push out. But the reality is you'd only go so far before someone was saying, hang on a minute. You can't be standing on the halfway line.
Yeah. And what that does, Simon, that relies on your forwards and midfield players doing their job. Because if one or two people don't do the job, you're giving them a free pass to get out. And it's a free pass to a player rather than just hitting it out. And there's a difference in that.
Yeah.
And that's why when you watch games now, quite often most of the defenders don't get within 10 yards of the halfway line because they like to drop off, get the ball, and we play it across. But what Liverpool have done this year, and City are doing it, is they go right up to the halfway line and just over because they've pressed the other team right the way back.
Yeah.
And they're not giving them an out. And that's very, very good. But it's confidence.
Yeah,
and what
the opposition's... Go on, sorry.
What you've got to be careful of is when you play top sides, you particularly in Europe, if you like, is they're used to that. So the Italians are quite happy doing that. Yeah, come on to us. And then they'll go bang, 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 and then they've got a breakaway. So it's interesting next year, I think, if because Atletico did it quite well against Liverpool in both ties. But I do think next year is going to be interesting because I don't know where Liverpool are going to buy. I don't know how much they're going to have to buy, or they're going to bring the youth players through to play the Klopp way. It's an interesting period for Liverpool.
But I think that only works. That works against teams when they're frightened. And I think that's what Liverpool have done quite well this year. They've frightened teams. So before you even get out there, people are worrying about the three forwards and the fullbacks. So I think that press right up to the halfway line only works when the centre forwards, firstly, if it's two centre forwards, it becomes more complicated because then both your fullbacks can't press unless you're comfortable just leaving Gomez and Van Dijk, or at times Van Dijk and Lovren on two centre forwards, which is not going to happen. But what most teams will do is, even if they are playing two forwards, they'll play one conventional striker up on their own and they'll play one in behind because they're scared. Because they're scared of those gaps in between the forwards and the midfielders. Because what happens is Liverpool are pushing so hard that the opposition's midfield go right back on top of the back four because they have to. They've got no choice. And I think that's where the press really works. But you're right, Daz. When teams can take that, when teams are not scared of it and they can push forwards up, then it does pin back Robbo and Trent. And it happened against Arsenal. We talked about it the other day. It happened against Arsenal.
What happened against Arsenal, I thought, was the tactics Arteta got, Simon, was spot on.
Didn't someone mention that, Dad?
I'm not allowed to. I've been told can't mention it, but it proved that I think Arteta again against City.
Yeah, did it again. Yeah,
spot on.
But that's very different, isn't it? We talked about that.
Yeah,
their press is a very different press, isn't it? Because it's not a team press; it's a forwards press.
It is, but what that does is then they've got to chip it over into the spaces, and then the players are running back towards their own goal, receiving the ball. So, and then the half turn, that's when they're getting smacked.
Yeah.
I did that as a sound effect then. Don't you anyone notice?
Yeah,
thanks. But I do think Arteta had it right against Liverpool and had it right against City. But he'll struggle when Arsenal meant to be in position and in possession of the ball a lot more when teams sit back on them. It's okay doing it when Liverpool and Man City are going to press you because tactically you can sit in. So that's interesting. But going back to Liverpool, Thomas, where do they need to strengthen and what will Klopp do in the summer?
I think the biggest area where Liverpool may struggle is when they lose one of the front three. When they lose one of the front three, we haven't really got anyone that can step in and replace them. So if Firmino comes out the side, he's like the orchestra or whatever the fella's called. Conductor, that's it.
Yeah.
He's the conductor. I knew I'll get it in a minute.
It was there. No, it was there. We just had to prize it out.
See, the memory tablets are working well, Tom.
No.
But the sol is.
Yeah, he's like the conductor. He makes it work up top. So he'll drop off and create space for the others. When he comes out the side, we look absolutely lost. Even with Salah and Mane playing, it just doesn't work. Again, we've tried Ox up there for Mane a few times. That hasn't worked. You know, he's done a great job in midfield and he adds a couple of goals to our team. But when we play him further up the field with his back to goal, we lose the impact of him coming from deep.
Definitely.
So I think we really need to look at, and Simon's mate, Origi, he's in my highlights for the year, and we'll talk about that shortly. But he's just not, the quality's not there, to be fair, is it?
No.
When we talk about them. So when we lose someone there, I think we really struggle. The rest of the side, we're pretty much covered. You know, we've got 5 decent midfielders. We lost Fabinho for quite a long time this season, and you know, all Liverpool fans were worried when he come out the side. And Henderson just changed position and had an absolute blinder playing there. Ox got more game time. Keita has had a bit of game time lately. I think we're well covered midfield. Defensively, we look okay. Gomez has been outstanding with Van Dijk. I know Lovren isn't ideal as as your number one backup behind him, but you know, on his day, he's a good defender. And Adrian did quite well for the first 8 games when Alisson got injured, so we didn't get beat. I just think forwards is definitely where we've got to improve. Not improve, but we've got to have decent backup. Timo Werner would have been ideal, but obviously the cash isn't there at the minute.
But you not think that would? I mean, Timo Werner coming in would be ideal, but he'd have to get games, and then you've got a challenge. Then we'd be talking about, so is someone going to hang around, and does that mean Salah goes? So the other way of looking at it as well, and I think it's difficult because we've played this formation all year and it's worked really well for us. But one of the things I think we've struggled with is a backup plan, and at times when we've had to go 2 up top, we've struggled with the formation, and I think we struggle with the formation because we don't have that creative midfielder. So I think if you had a creative midfielder, and maybe Lallana was meant to fill some of that gap, and the Ox gives us a little bit from midfield. I mean, I really like Oxlade-Chamberlain, but we haven't got that real creative midfielder. It would be nice if you're going to play it, if you had to go to a 4-4-2, to have someone who could play in midfield but could really create as well. I mean, I love Henderson. I think he's a great player, been brilliant for us this year. But imagine playing with someone who's really creative, or Fabinho with someone who's really creative on what they could do in a 4-4-2. I think it's maybe a little bit of a waste because we won't use the wings as much, because then you'll kill Trent and Robbo. But at times you've got to go to that formation, and I don't think we have the personnel to do that and do it well.
Do you not think Firmino could have done that job and dropped a bit deeper?
Potentially,
I've always thought that'd be ideal for him, especially, you know, in my mind we were signing Werner, and I was thinking, you know, Firmino's goals have dropped off a little bit this year. If that's going to be a trend that carries on, then maybe that's something that we need to look at and drop him a little bit. I mean, he's so important to the side and what he does for the team. If he possibly could drop a little bit deeper into midfield and be our creative link to the forwards instead of relying on him as a 9/10 type player.
Yeah, I mean, I think he could do a job there. But I mean, Darren mentioned something earlier. He said Firmino doesn't really get the plaudits, if you like, that he probably deserves. I think with Liverpool fans, he does. The Liverpool fans love him and they see it. But I think you're right, Daz.
Simon, you've never watched a game with me, Dad.
I know there are others. Well, my dad hates Salah for some reason. I don't know why. Okay. Watch a game with my dad, he's always talking about how bad Salah is. But Firmino is brilliant for us. And the reason he's brilliant is he links the play and he does all the doggy work for Mane and Salah. To that, I mean, to be fair, Mane and Salah work hard as well. But Firmino does all the link work. And he probably could do that job in midfield. But Liverpool fans love him up top, love him linking the play between the midfield and the forwards. And when you've not got that creative midfielder, you need it. Maybe if you'd had the creative midfielder, or potentially could be him, I just don't know whether he'd be able to do the work that you'd need that creative midfielder to do going backwards.
I'm not convinced. I think what he does do up front, he drags players out of position. And that's the whole point, because he allows other players to run into the gaps. When you're playing in midfield, you're not dragging anybody out. You're not creating those gaps. You're trying to pass the ball through, and the gaps aren't there. So I think you lose something by playing him in midfield. But I do think he's great up top. But I agree. I think Liverpool do need a plan B for those games that are a bit more difficult to unlock. Sometimes we've seen them all the time. You know, getting frustrated after an hour when it's still 0-0 or something, and you're thinking, we don't know what's going to happen, because you bring on a player who's similar to what you've already got.
Or you bring on Divock Origi.
Which we know, Simon, he's your hero. And you've probably got him on the back of your shirt.
Well, I hate not liking him more, because I wish I did, because he scored some amazing goals for us. And when he scored them goals, I've loved him for but I'm just not a fan of what he does in the game. It sounds terrible because I don't think he's lazy, but he appears lazy because he runs in a really kind of laboured way. It's weird to watch him, and he's all right on the ball. He's not great on the ball. He gives us an option, but I mean that's not an option for the world's best team. I can't see that as a good fourth option. Now, if he was your fourth and you were playing 2 up top,
you'd take it.
Then actually you'd probably take it. But when you're playing 3 up top and he's your next option, he's not an option for me. I think when we bring him on, it just doesn't work. And when he plays from the start of the game, it's even worse. It's almost like he's not involved. He played the game the other week and he was on for like 60 minutes. Might as well not even started. Did absolutely nothing in the game. But again, he's one of those like cult heroes because he's scored, that goal against Everton was brilliant, and obviously against Barcelona. He just does amazing stuff.
And the Champions League final.
And the final, yeah. He's been brilliant for us, but I just don't think he's right. If we want to continue to grow, he is absolutely not the answer. Now, we'll get a decent amount of money for him as well. If we sell him, we'll get a reasonable amount of money for him. It's just whether we can go and get someone, whether we've got the money to go and get someone decent, because you're going to have to spend something like 40, 50 million to get someone half decent.
I heard Klopp's on the phone to Bournemouth as we speak, Simon. That's where a lot of the cast-offs seem to end up for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, if we were going to have a plan B, I think I've said it before, but I'd really like that Raul Jimenez from Wolves. He is totally different to what we've got. He's big, he's strong, he's great in the air. And he's someone that you could turn to and go 4-4-2 with, which would be great. So he's the type of player that if we do need a plan B and you need someone coming off the bench, he'd be certainly someone that I'd hope we looked at.
There was talk, Thomas, of you getting the other guy from Wolves, Traore, was it?
Yeah.
There was talk of that guy, but I mean, I spoke to you about how I think about him, but it's offering something different. And also, you've got to be...
You only don't like him because you couldn't catch him.
Mate, that's about 99% of the world.
I'd love to see you chasing him.
No, I wouldn't.
It'd be like you were on one of those travelators.
I'd just try and bring over Cy Watson a lot.
Yeah.
If we were playing, Cy's yours, him. I'll mark Danny Costello.
Yeah, he wouldn't be right for us. Jimenez is definitely a better option.
So can I ask you two then, as Liverpool fans, in terms of the youth lads coming through, who are the ones that you think might make an impact in the coming season? Or do you think people need to go out on loan and get a season with another team?
Well, there are the obvious ones that are in there, but I've got one that I would like to see come back and have an impact is Harry Wilson.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he's quite ready. Like, he's not even getting in the Bournemouth team every week, but he's got ability, great on the ball. Free kicks are fantastic. He's definitely an option, and I think with the right coach, potentially he could have an impact. I think he's got a few years before he can. The question is, do you bring him back into the fold and try and grow him at Liverpool, or do you keep putting him out and then bring him back at some stage? I don't know, because when you look at some of the young lads we've got now, they're not playing enough, so they're going to go at some stage.
Yeah, I think they definitely need games. The likes of Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones, they need to play. Even if we send them out for 6 months and get them playing Championship football or Division 2, and just say, get out there, feel what it's like to play, twice a week for 6 months, and let's see how you look, and then come back and see whether there's a change in them, ready for them to get into the team. But they look quality footballers. Just are they ready physically and mentally to challenge against in one of the toughest leagues in the world? Who's
the fullback as well? Nico Williams. Yeah. He looks decent.
Yeah, I'd keep him. I'd keep him and have him involved. The way we play football, it suits him. We pin teams back. He's not one that we're going to stick in a tough game where we're going to be put under pressure. For example, against Leicester City, where they come at us and really have a go at us. But against their team, low down Bournemouths who will take a lot of pressure, it's ideal for him.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the problems. So if you look at the players who could potentially come through, at fullback, you'll get a chance of being a backup. I mean, I don't know how much you're going to play because the other two play all the time, but he could probably be a good backup and build up his trade and whatever, and then maybe get a chance in the team. When you're talking about playing elsewhere on the park, I find it hard to see any of them getting a real run, because unless someone goes or someone gets injured and they leapfrog over some other people, then they're not playing. And they're good players, but they're not. I mean, you look at the big players that came through at Liverpool, people like Fowler and Owen and Gerrard and Carragher, they were outstanding early on. And that's why they got in the team. And then once they got in, they kept their spot. None of these have done the same. They're good players, but I just don't know whether they are up to the caliber that we need. That's a bit of a problem, because then what that creates is a situation where you're not having homegrown talent come through. You're going to have to go out and buy it. And I don't think Klopp really wants to do that. He wants to create a system where he does build up the talent internally. I just don't know whether he can.
I think the gap is too big at the moment between the youth level they play or under 23s what they play and Liverpool in the top 2 of the Premier League. I think if Liverpool were a mid-table team, that gives them more options and gives them more chances of playing. I do think these young lads, though, under 23s football as well. It's okay, but it's all very nice. You know, I want to see them go out and play in the Championship where it's tough, where it's you're playing two games a week. You're playing against men who are fighting to get into the Premier League against you. That builds you up, I think, and I think it gets used to. There's another guy at Rangers who is it Ryan Kent. He went up to Rangers and then they signed him.
Yeah,
he's gone permanently. But there's another young lad who was coming through, wasn't quite getting the games or game time. Stevie Gerrard knew about him, obviously, because of Liverpool connections. Took him up there for a loan, and then he's made it permanent.
Yeah.
And there's lots of players like that. You got Harvey Elliott from Fulham at 16, am I right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And so, where are these players going to get the development from? Because Liverpool's too big a step from the youth at the moment.
I think that is definitely the case once you get outside of the back four. Yeah. I think once you get into midfield, and unless you're a world beater at 18, you're not playing. Yeah, I think that's a problem.
You look at Phil Foden at Man City. He's a world beater.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why he gets in.
Yeah. That's why he plays. And Silva's gone, and Pep's managed him beautifully.
Yeah.
And so he's going to fill David Silva's position. I've got no doubt he'll go and buy as well.
Done a great job there, though, hasn't he? Building him up to the stage where now he is almost becoming the default on the team sheet every week.
Yeah.
And then when Silva goes, he'll just fill in that spot.
Yeah.
And he's not as creative as David Silva is, but he's got so much ability.
Yeah. And I think he'll grow. He's playing with quality players either side of him. But I think that's where Liverpool's youth or the young lads coming through, it's just a step too far. I think at the moment they need to go and get games.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, so let's have a look at, or let's have a chat about some of the big moments from this year. So there's been so many throughout the year, and Thomas, why don't you kick us off with one of yours?
I'm going to start with, you're not going to believe this, but it was the first game. The first game against Norwich. It was a massive moment in the season, and it could have derailed us straight away. We lost Alisson to a really bad injury, and he was out for the first 9 games. Well, the first 8 games he missed with a really bad calf injury. And we just didn't miss him. We won every one after that. So that was looking at all the games, there was so many that were close to picking, when we won that last minute, or we did this. But the impact that losing players can have on a side is massive. And I thought we did so well. Adrian signed the day before. He played in that game, totally unexpected. He was actually very good. And then he played midweek against Chelsea in the Super Cup and saved the penalty, didn't he? And I think he got man of the match and, went on to get like little hero status. Don't get me wrong, he threw it all away against Atletico Madrid further down the year. But for them first 8 games, he was absolutely rock solid and he did us proud. So that was my first big moment of the season.
Yeah, it was a big one. I had one which Gary Bascott has also come up with on Facebook, which was Lallana's equaliser against United in October. So, I mean, in that game, we were down and out, and we were unbeaten, obviously, until that stage. And he scored the equaliser really late in the day. Great goal.
85th minute equaliser, back post, tapped it in, didn't he?
Yeah, did well.
But that game should really be remembered for the VAR. There was a Rashford's goal. There was a blatant free kick. I think it was someone went through the back of Origi. The fullback went through the back of Origi. And they went on. Now, I wasn't bothered. I thought, this is well getting pulled back for a foul. It went to VAR. They looked at it and they didn't overturn it. And I was just thinking, oh dear, VAR isn't working, And Klopp wasn't bothered. He didn't seem that bothered. He thought, VAR's going to overturn that. He's gone right through the back of him, down his Achilles. Anyway, I was a bit shocked at that. But it was, like I said, about late equalisers and the never say die attitude of the players. They were superb to get that draw because, it's a tough place to come back at Old Trafford.
Definitely. Okay, so the other one, that one was Gary's. The other one that I had was Villa Park.
I thought we were going to get through the whole podcast without mentioning
Well,
that.
I mean, this was a really good one as well because you were beating us 1-0 and then we scored 2 quick goals to go up 2-1.
Was it something like 89 and 94 or something stupid like that?
2 really late goals.
We were robbed, yeah.
Yeah. So that was Robbo and Mane who scored the goals in that game.
But again, though, what it does show you is how Liverpool kept going, you know, and we were fragile at the best, but we played quite well that day. But Liverpool would, like, you know, all great sides have that in them. They just keep going to the final whistle, and we hear that all the time. You know, how many times did United score in the 93rd, 4th minute? Liverpool now are doing it exactly the same.
Yeah.
But fair play to them. You know, it's you don't get to the top by just fluking 1 or 2 games. Mostly against Villa, you do. But I want to bring a moment up that I felt was pinnacle in this season. Was when Villa stuffed us 5-0 in the cup against probably your best side of the season. And I took my dad. So me and my dad went down there. It was a night game, and we went down, travelled down there. I love going down there with my dad, and it was against Liverpool, so it was even better. But it was interesting the kids play, to be fair. And after they could have been 2-0 up, Liverpool could have been 2-0 up inside first 15 minutes, and it almost woke Villa up a little bit. Some of the professionals were like, "None of these kids are running around taking the mickey," and then obviously it grew into the game. And 20 minutes, 50 minutes to go, me and my dad got off because it was like, well, let's beat the traffic. The game's not going anywhere.
Darren, who's your forward? Is it Kodja?
Yeah, Kodja. Yeah.
You know what? He was a little bit embarrassing the way he was celebrating, wasn't he?
No, it's a goal.
In the FA Cup, what's your problem?
Listen, what's your problem? No, but what it did show us Liverpool at the World Cup or whatever it was called, the World Championship thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't get involved in that. But what it did show is Liverpool's almost those fringe players, you know, and the young lads coming through, and it was great to see them play. And Klopp give it the young lad on the 20.
Well, they'd beat Everton in a round before, hadn't he? Curtis Jones had scored that whopper.
And fair play to them for doing that because, you know, the fixtures didn't help. But when you're successful, you're going to have those issues with fixtures.
That was in the League Cup, Darren, wasn't it?
Oh, it was the League Cup, it wasn't the FA Cup, was it? League Cup.
Yeah,
but Devon had the FA Cup with the kids.
Yeah, and then went to play us, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, the week after.
You know, lots of people were moaning about the fixtures. Don't be successful.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Because that's the way it goes.
Villa have no issues with fixtures.
Simon, well, I'm going to go back to near the start of the season. Game 6, we played Chelsea away. And I didn't realise until I was looking at picking up games that we'd had such a bad record over the last couple of seasons. We'd only had 1 win in the last 12 away games against the top 5. So, and then we're starting the season, we've started on fire. Game 6, we played Chelsea and we beat them 2-1. If you remember, Kante scored a cracking goal, like he'd so poked it from about 30 yards into the top corner. And we won. We won the game 2-1. And I think it set us our stall out to say, right, we've done that now. We've got that off our back. We've gone to one of the top sides in the league at their place and we beat them. And we were good for quite a while. I mean, it was a bit nervy towards the end. Kante scored about the 75th minute. And then we just about got over the line. But once we got that win, again, it was just adding more belief and more momentum to drag us, you know, forward. And the run that we went on was absolutely superb.
Yeah, it was great. And then I think the first, well, not the first one, we'd had big games beforehand, but the first kind of real big clash was against City, wasn't it, at Anfield in November when Fabinho scored that absolute whopper.
Yeah.
From like 25 yards out.
Kante's was a 35-yard toe poke and Fabinho's was a 30-yard whopper. Fabinho's was a 30-yard whopper. What's going on?
Darren, if you watch Kante's goal back, it was a 25-yard toe poke. It was a fabulous goal. He danced past 2 players. He created a little tiny bit of space and he didn't have enough room to wind his leg fully back to put loads of power through it. And he hit it early with a toe poke and it flew in the top corner. So I wasn't having a go or trying to discredit his goal. It was a fabulous goal.
Just wanted to pick up on that.
Hey, plenty neck in, Darren.
Fabinho's was an absolute cracker. I mean, he couldn't have hit that any better. And then, on Facebook, Chris Jones said Salah's second against the Manx. Which game's he talking about?
That's further in the That's further in.
That's later.
Yeah, later in the season. But stay on that game, because didn't Raymond Abbott mention about our second goal, which was out of this world?
He did, yeah.
So it was with Trent, and he was in the right back position, deep in our own half, and he did a crossfield ball to Robertson, who knocked the ball out of his feet and hit it on the run to the back post, and Salah come in on the run at speed and headed it across Bravo. It was an absolute worldie, a brilliant goal. It's 2-0, and we dominated that game for most of it, and then Bernardo Silva got a late goal, and we beat them 3-1. And I think that took us about 8 points clear at that time, and we were only 3 months into the season.
Yeah, that was Raymond Abbott's or Raymond Darby's comment on there. That was a great goal. I mean, to be fair, we were brilliant right throughout that game, but that was a great finish. Robbo and headers, eh?
Yeah.
He likes a header, doesn't he? The other one, Neil Cunningham said, being responsible for Everton sacking Silva. I wanted the Bitters to give him a new 5-year contract. That was brilliant.
Funny about that game, I'd got Michael Bublé tickets off my mum for Christmas. I like a bit of Bublé. And it just so happened that the derby had been rearranged for that night. So I'm sitting in the Echo Arena with my phone. I've got it on Sky Go. Bublé's down. I'm in the stands with my mum, my wife watching Bublé, watching the match. And it goes quiet, and just for him, he's about to belt out a big tune, and it goes dead quiet. And I jumped up. Yes, Origi! It was absolutely brilliant.
Love it.
And Simon booted the telly.
Yeah.
To be honest, that's shown how decent our squad was. He made a ton of changes in the derby. He started Shaqiri, who hadn't played for a long time. He started Origi up front. There was changes all over the pitch. Milner, I think, started in midfield. And we spanked Everton that night. We absolutely spanked them. Origi scored an absolute brilliant chip. Shaqiri scored 2 crackers.
5-2 wasn't it?
5-2.
Yeah.
With a literally a really changed
side. Yeah.
Superb performance.
But Mane did play in that game, didn't he?
Mane scored late on, I think.
Yeah, Mane was quality late on. All right, what else have you got? I've got one while we're waiting.
One.
So I think we played in the Club World Cup is what we call it, Daz, for those who are involved in it. And then we beat Leicester on Boxing Day 4-0.
Superb. That was next on my list when I changed the page, Simon.
Yeah.
It was the Trent show, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was outstanding that game.
Yeah. Now, all the pundits had us down for a defeat. We'd travelled to Abu Dhabi. We'd played them games. We'd won the Club World Cup. I think we'd played 14 games. In fact, I'll tell you because I wrote it down. From the 23rd of November to the 4th or the 5th of January, we played 14 games. And we had that travel in between. And then we come back Boxing Day to play Leicester away. And we spanked them. Yeah. And Trent was outstanding.
Yeah, he was great. So Adam Scragg put that up on the Facebook page. He said, Boxing Day, Trent scored. At that point, I knew it was ours. Yeah. I mean, that was pretty early on, but
an early shout, but I see what
but we'd done so well up until that stage. You look at how many we'd won. It looked a bit ridiculous at that point. You know when you're doing well, when you go through that Christmas period and you're getting the wins like that.
Well, that game took us 13 points clear.
Yeah.
13 points clear. The game which I said we've done it, which we brought up before, Simon, was against Man United at home. That was next on my list. Man United at home, we beat them 2-0. Van Dijk scored early. I think he jumped over the top of Maguire and he powered a header in.
Yeah.
And then it was a tight game, scruffy. We didn't take our chances. And then Alisson hit one out of his hands, didn't he, for Mane to sprint through, and he was getting chased by Daniel James. And then he just slotted it under De Gea as he advanced towards him. And then he took his top off and he's running with his top above his head.
Salah, you mean?
Salah. Yeah.
Salah. I hope he got booked.
He did get booked, but that was the point when I knew that's the league. We'd won the league.
Yeah, that was the big one, wasn't it?
And that was the first time the Anfield crowd started singing, we're going to win the league. And I think everyone knew at that point then, we've won the league with that win.
Yeah, I had that one on mine because that was the one when Salah scored that goal, you're thinking, okay, it's fallen for us this year. And I think you're right. That was the first time I think Anfield you had bits of it before, but it was they were roaring it, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, with that win, we went 16 points clear, which absolutely
that's going to help.
To be honest, at one point I think we've got as high as 25, 26 points ahead of City, and I just don't know how any team in world football can be that far ahead of a team that good.
Yeah, because they're brilliant.
They're outstanding. They do have the problems, they've got to sort out the problems defensively. But for us to be that far, for them to be that far ahead of any team is just out of this world. What a team we've been this year.
Well, what about, so we go out to the FA Cup, we get beaten in the league by Watford. Was it 3-0 we got beat by Watford?
Yes, that was our first defeat.
3-0 at Watford, go out the FA Cup, and then we beat Bournemouth 2-1, and Milner scores the penalty.
Yes. Was that a very late penalty?
Yeah, and my nerves were jangling because we had to, it almost looked like we were struggling at that stage because against Watford, we were not good at all.
Yeah, and I know the game before we played Watford, I think we'd had a 2-1 win. I can't remember the opposition now, but we'd really struggled and we were really labouring. And to get through that game, I think we've just been lucky to the point that we'd put so much in to build that lead and to get where we were. So then, you could see that the legs were going. They were looking tired, and I was just glad that we got over the line and the lead was so big at that point.
The other thing I remembered about that game where he scored Milner scored the penalty, he also cleared one with an overhead kick off the line. Adrian was in goal and he cleared it off the line with an overhead kick. What a player he's been for us, by the way. And I know you're a fan of him as well.
Massive. Milner's great whatever club he's been to. All the fans love him because what he does what every footballer should do. He just works hard, gets on with it, doesn't moan, and he's got skill in abundance. Yeah. So he always gets, every club he goes back to, he always gets a good reception.
So then we get to the 3-month enforced shutdown, and then we come back, and it's almost just like it's a ticking clock just waiting. Yeah. And then we do nothing against Everton, and that was a crap game.
Poor showing.
And then we battered Crystal Palace. And the good thing about that as well is the front three were all on target as well, which was nice. But we absolutely battered them. We were brilliant in that game. It's the only really good game we've played since we've been back.
I agree. But since we've came back, the football hasn't been great, apart from the Chelsea City game, which I partied like a champ.
I was going to say, that was the next one. I mean, the fact that Chelsea helped us win it. I've seen the stats as well. See, you're sponsored by Budweiser now, Tom?
Yeah, changed my mind.
I've seen a stat as well about how many times Chelsea have been involved in another team winning the Premier League, and it's ridiculous. They've always been involved late in the season, even when they haven't won it. They've done something.
Well, look what they did to us with Mourinho and Gerrard slipping.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Lampard again done a good job there. How are they getting on? How are they getting on site?
I haven't got it on actually, but I will check.
They're winning 1-0, I think, or 2-0.
Oh, are they?
I think so, yeah. Which is a good. Again, Lampard getting to a final.
Chelsea Arsenal final.
London derby, isn't it?
Yeah, 2-0. At the Gaya Howler, it says.
Hey, there's your show for getting Henderson back.
I've said it, haven't I? I've put it out there.
Yeah, maybe.
And to be fair, Thomas, I've not been wrong this week.
He's going to rub that in at every opportunity he can, Tom.
Yeah, he has promised me he's not going to mention it.
I haven't mentioned it. I've just said I've been right.
So we asked some people on Facebook, and we've already given you a couple. One of them was brilliant. Either a United fan or a City fan. His response was, "It's Tim Fugate." His response was, "Them losing to Arsenal," which I think is great. That's a good one from another fan. Andy McFarlane. So we'd asked, what are your biggest moments of the year? Andy McFarlane is someone who contributes quite a lot, but the first thing he said was the work that Henderson did during the COVID-19 crisis to do the fundraiser, which was fantastic. Really good. And then he also said the development of Gomez and Van Dijk's partnership, which, to be fair, was going well last year, but this year really come on a massive amount. I mean, Gomez has been fantastic. Right up until the last few games, he's been outstanding, hasn't he?
Yeah. I think as well as Matip played superb last year, and once he got in, Gomez couldn't force him back out after he returned from injury. And then I thought he would pick Gomez at the start of the season. His speed over Matip is probably something that you'd look for, because they leave themselves isolated, like 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 at the back at times. So I think he's been superb. And for him to keep Matip out for the whole season, he's got to be doing something right. And the run that they've been on is superb. I think they've got a record 18 games unbeaten. Or 18 games winning, sorry.
He does well as well, because what he does is he naturally plays on Trent's side, and Trent gets caught in behind. So when Trent gets caught in behind, because Gomez is fast, he covers him at right back, which I think makes a big difference for Trent as well, because it allows him to go.
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting if Van Dijk ever gets injured, and I hope he doesn't, because I love watching him. It'd be interesting whether Gomez and Matip will be a decent partnership or not, or they rely on the organisation and the ability of Van Dijk.
It's hard to tell, isn't it?
It is hard to tell.
The championship winning centre-halves, mate, they'll walk it.
World Club champions, Tom. So then
European champions as well.
Let's just hope they don't come across Arteta every week, because tactically he's
European
brilliant.
Super Cup as well, winners.
So we got another one as well. Mark Fullerton, we've talked about the game already, was talking about the Villa last 5 minutes. He called it Fergie time.
To be fair, he's right. He's right. I've always liked that guy.
Yeah, good lad, good Liverpool fan. So what a year it's been. I mean, I thought last year, I agree with Thomas. I think last year we were probably, I don't know, we played some better football at times, but we blew teams away this year. It's almost at times they've made it look really easy, almost the way City have over the last couple of years as well. The question is, can they continue it into next year?
And that's what I was going to talk to you guys. Do you think, if Liverpool don't recruit this summer, have they got enough there to win it again next year? Thomas?
Yes.
Okay, Simon, move on.
Liverpool will. They're just having a break now. They're just relaxing their minds, relaxing their bodies. They're seeing it out. They're just waiting for that break where hopefully, the travel ban's lifted and people can get around the world. But I think you can go on holiday now. They can get a good holiday. They can relax, and then they'll come back focused. Pre-season, we've got 6 weeks off before pre-season starts. They'll come back and then hit the ground running, and then we'll go and dominate again.
I'm going to disagree. I think Liverpool will finish second next year.
To Villa?
If we stay in the league, to Villa. If not, Leeds. And if not, it'll be Man City.
So you think that City are going to finish top next year, Dad?
I do. And the reason I think that, I think Liverpool's recruitment this summer is crucial. Because I think if you don't recruit when you're on top, then there's a little danger of becoming complacent.
Yeah.
I think what City will go out and do is City will go out and buy another centre-half, I think, they'll go and buy maybe another forward or someone else who can unlock defences. And I think Pep will hate the fact that he's been beat this year by the distance. Not necessarily being beat by Liverpool, but it's the distance they've been beaten by 20 or whatever points it is. I think he'll hate that, and I think he'll go out and go and do something about it. I think Liverpool have to buy. They can't get complacent. If they don't go out and buy 2 players, I think they're going to struggle. Not struggle in terms of win. I just think winning the league, I think they'll come second.
And what do you think? You're saying midfield and forward, midfield, centre-half?
I think they need to go and get a striker as a plan B, and I think a creative midfield player. Because I think the midfield players are all good, but they're all similar.
I'd buy a centre-half.
Do you not think that City have got to plug more gaps than Liverpool as we currently stand?
Going forward,
they've lost 8 games this year. They've lost 8 league games.
But I think that's an issue with the centre-halves. So I think they'll go out and get 2 centre-halves. I think you've got Walker as a good right back. You've got a left back there. I think he's injured at the moment because Mendy I don't particularly rate. But I think going forward, they'll just what City will do is City will be hurting, and they'll go out and get 2 centre-halves, and they'll get a striker.
Yeah.
I think we need a centre half, because I just don't think. I mean, Matip actually is not a bad backup, but Lovren for me, I don't think is the answer. And then I'd agree. I think a central midfielder that's creative would be great, but don't go and buy someone who's late in their career. Go and buy someone who's younger, who you can grow into the role while the others progress still, because we've still got years in the players that we've still got there. And then a centre forward, get rid of Origi, get a different centre forward, go and spend 25, 30 million on someone. And, you almost look at Danny Ings now and think he'd have been a much better answer. But again, do you sit on the line and the bench and not play, or do you go to Southampton and play?
I think Liverpool are going to have a bit of money to spend. I don't think we're going to have tons, but we've got Grujic in Germany. He's going to bring in over 20 million if he's sold. You've got Harry Wilson. Yeah. Whether or not they're going to bring him out into the squad or they're going to sell him, you're looking 20 million plus for him. Just for his goals alone, because I think he's in double figures for Bournemouth. They've got Origi if he's going to go. You've got Shaqiri. That there's enough money there to go out and buy yourself a really decent midfielder if that's what you're thinking we're needing, or if we need a decent striker. I mean, if you're splitting it half, you're not getting the best quality, because you're only looking about 60 to 70 million between all them selling them players, and then you're then replacing them with youth team players, the ones that we mentioned before.
And the old argument is: are you going to get a quality striker to come and sit on the bench, or you're going to have to rotate it a bit more? It's a difficult job to do that, to bring someone in to a successful side and go, well, actually, we've paid 80 million or 100 million for you, whatever it is. You're going to be on the bench for the first 2 or 3 games because we need to see what's going on. And I think that's why I think a young player would be more beneficial, someone who you can mould, because I think, Salah or Mane might go in the next 2 years.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe they're going to be too old. That's the issue, Darren.
We don't mention age on this programme, Thomas.
Age or speed.
So, what are your final thoughts for the season then, Thomas? Because, let's finish off on a high.
My final thoughts, it's just the most magical, amazing feeling. We last won it when I was a little kid. I think I was 9 or 10, and now I'm a proper man. I can get absolutely hammered.
Steady on.
I can get hammered. It's just, I've been waiting for it for 30 years. It's just amazing. It's just unbelievable. And the older generation that got to get this feeling every couple of years and watch and listen to the success that we had. God, I'm so jealous, because I could do this every week. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And Wednesday, honestly, it's going off.
So remind me to go away Tuesday night, Simon.
Yeah, you want to be somewhere close to Thomas on Wednesday.
I'll be probably round seeing him. I just think, from a football point of view, fair play to Liverpool. Congratulations. They've been the best side. The league table doesn't lie. I wish it would at the bottom, but it doesn't. And you know what? It's great to see all my friends who are Liverpool fans, who I love dearly, smiling. I've never seen Thomas smile so much in the 10 years I've known him. It's quite emotional. And it's
it is, Darren.
It is. I can see it. I just think it's great.
The stress and everything, all that pressure that team's had on them for all the years, and how close we've been, and Gerrard not lifting it, and then for Jordan Henderson and Jurgen Klopp to build, that team and that camaraderie and that drive and that will to win and that never say die attitude they're just unbelievable. They're absolute heroes, every single one of them. They're heroes, and I remember it till the day I die. So it doesn't matter what happens after we lift it on Wednesday, as long as I don't die before Wednesday.
Stay in tomorrow.
I've seen them lift the league. Properly seen them do it, and I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I'm just so proud to be a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, this is the first one as an adult. It's weird that, because we won it so much when we were kids. It was almost like it was abnormal for Liverpool not to win the league when we were growing up. So to have to wait that long and then for it to happen, and there's almost been a couple of years build up to this as well. We were great last year. I thought we were an outstanding team last year. He did really well with them, got them to a stage where they were consistently performing, and they just come up a little bit short to a really good City team. But this year just pushed them on that little bit further. And I think there are a couple of people made a massive difference this year, and one of them being Henderson. I think Henderson, the ability that he has to drive that team forward is second to maybe only Steven Gerrard in Liverpool terms, certainly in our adult lifetime. Unbelievable. And considering where he was, 7, 8, 9 years ago, where he is now, imagine him now thinking, I'm lifting the Premier League trophy on Wednesday. I mean, he's already lifted the Champions League in that moment that he had with his dad in the corner. Imagine what he's going to be like on Wednesday.
And his tattoo artist's going to be made up because he's going to have to get the Premiership on his other leg.
And then the other one that I think is stood. I mean, you've got the obvious ones like Van Dijk and Salah and Firmino and stuff, but I think Mane's been different class for us this year.
Outstanding.
Because people can't get close to him.
He's just driven, isn't he? He just never gives up. He's direct. He's just been superb. And he's only a goal or two behind, in fact. Yeah, he's 2 goals behind Salah to be our leading goal scorer. Salah's on 19, he's on 17 with 2 games to go. I wouldn't be surprised if he beats him.
Yeah. But you could go through and you could name, there's loads of players that have had a big impact, but I just think watching them this year has been an absolute pleasure. It's been brilliant to be around while it's going on, because every game there's a build-up, there's a anticipation, and not an anticipation as, oh no, we don't know what's going to happen. It's, well, what are we going to beat them by this time? Or what is this team going to do? What amazing thing is this team going to do in this game? And the confidence has just grown and grown throughout the year. I think he's got to work hard now to get that back, because there is definitely a come down after they won the league. He's got to work hard towards the end of the year and through the summer. I think that, to your point, Daz, bringing in a couple of players to freshen it up a bit will make a big difference. But what an amazing year! It's been unbelievable. It's a pity we didn't do better in the cup competitions. I would have liked to have seen a cup this year as well. It'd be nice to have done a double this year, especially after last year.
I am an honest.
When you've got a team like this, mate, you've got to be greedy, haven't you?
Yeah. To be fair, though, we have won the World Club Cup, or World Cup, whatever it's called. We've also won the Super Cup.
Yeah. So
it's been a phenomenal year. I wouldn't care if we won anything apart from the league. That was my main priority. But saying just touching on something you said then, he's got a big job to get us going again for next year. He was asked after the first game against Norwich, we were at home against Norwich in the first game, why didn't you show the European Cup that we won last year, by the way? Why didn't you show that at half-time, which has been a tradition for over the years, that for the first home game they'd bring out the trophies they won the year before. And Klopp said, we won that last year. This is, that's gone. And if he's on it before the first game and he's not bringing those trophies out, then he's got the right mindset to build and try and go on and win again. And that's what it's all about. So now you've won, the press and everyone else is going, well, you're not really a good team, even though you've won it and you've absolutely battered everybody and you've won the European Cup last year. You're not really a good team until you build like a dynasty of successful wins and you win the league on several occasions. To be honest, I'd say that's a load of rubbish. We're an absolute fabulous team. We currently hold the European Cup. We're now champions of the league. We won it, a couple of weeks after Christmas. It was done and dusted. It would be nice to see this team go on and dominate and win. Next year is going to be a massive challenge. And like Darren, you said about City, and they've got a lot of money, and they will already have a plan in place to plug the issues.
And Chelsea are throwing in some money as well.
Chelsea looking really strong and signing quality players. But the big thing that they've all got to think about next year is this team has got some will to win. They've got some desire, and they work the absolute socks off to beat everybody that's in front of them. And when you match the players up, like Henderson is being, he's up for Player of the Year with De Bruyne, then they're in totally different leagues. De Bruyne is probably one of the best players in the world football at the moment. Jordan Henderson is just is our captain, our leader. He drives us on. But Henderson would go out there and do a job against De Bruyne, and that's what we do all around the pitch. So our players may not be matched up as good as the players in the opposition, but they always find a will to win and a desire to beat them, and they always better the direct competition. And I think if that stays within the mindset going forward, I don't think we'll have a problem, because I know Jurgen Klopp isn't going to be, taking no backward steps or having an extra long holiday. I've won the league now, I've done my job, I'm getting a massive bonus, and I'm delighted for everyone involved at the club. Our niece, mine and Simon's, she works at Melwood. All the staff there, all the permanent staff have got a £500 bonus because Liverpool won the league. All the catering staff. Fabulous. What a great gesture. They've won the league, paid the staff. Superb.
Sorry, I have to interrupt because this is the most Thomas has talked on any of our podcasts ever. I don't know whether
a little bit excited.
I don't know whether it's the beer. I don't know whether he's having a nice day out. He's a different person.
And you know what? He just said something quite profound. He maybe didn't put it in profound terms, but I think what Klopp has done is
I don't know what profound means.
He's created a team that is greater than the sum of its parts. So you mentioned Henderson. You could go through the team, and as individuals, there are better players. But when you put it all together, it's something special. It's something that we haven't seen for a long time. We've flattered a little bit of times in previous years and not quite made it. As it comes to the difficult end of the season, do well early on, not do late on. He has found a way to get these players to play right through the 90th, right up to the 95th, 96th minute at times. I think that's what's made a big difference for us. And I guess, for every team, every coach is trying to find the same thing. You bring a group of players together, and unless you've got billions to spend, you have to make them better as a team than they are as individuals. Isn't that the trick?
Yeah, and I think what he has done from the first day he got there is he's connected with the fans. He's gone back to what Liverpool Football Club was in terms of the 70s and 80s, about being a family, about togetherness and we're in this together. And he's created that. And you would always argue probably 90s and 2000s and what have you, that Liverpool had great players, but they weren't a great team. Where now they've got some great players, some very good players, but they're a great team. And I think that's what Klopp's done. He's brought them together, and this togetherness, which you can't buy that. You've just got to get it. And that's what he's done.
Makes a big difference, Daz. You're absolutely right. Hopefully we're back in the next couple of weeks, next 10 days or so, celebrating Villa, staying up in the Premier League.
We're having a whole podcast on that, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. If they stay up, we'll celebrate it.
I'm having a committee meeting.
Yeah. I think we need to end the podcast now. You've both paid me a compliment. We need to go.
We did say it was a special podcast.
Yeah. All right, lads. Well, listen, let's make sure we have a good week. Let's make sure we enjoy Wednesday. Because it's the first time we've seen this in a long time, and then we'll get back with another guest at some point late next week, out again the week after. All right, have a good one.
Take care, guys.
See you all soon.
Take it easy.
See you Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Walk on through the wind.